Hey guys, how's it going? To Testify here. I'm coming at you with the update of the update video of making 300,000 gold in a week. Well, after some optimization and some time dedication of just doing some statistics, I haven't had enough time to actually make it happen. Unfortunately, I do have a few things lined up to make the gold start coming in, but unfortunately it's going to take a little bit extra time. But I want to explain how it works and how to make this money efficiently and quickly. I've optimized it, and we're sitting at, on average, right around 100k a day, so 700k in a week. And the reason for that is the amount of people that you have to get involved to help you do this and make sure that it's going to work properly. The way the money is made, you do have to have some type of farmer. I have my druid, and the way this money is going to be made is by farming your two farming professions. I have mining and herbalism on this one. Your other professions are really irrelevant, don't worry about those, but those two are your core ones that are important. And then of course one thing that you really are going to want are the forager's gloves, which allows for faster gathering of resources in Pandaria. If you're a Tauren, you can get away with not having these gloves, but if you are not a Tauren, these gloves are pretty mandatory to have. I'll include a link in the description on where to get these gloves and how to get them. It's a lot of work to do it. It's off a rare spawn, but I will definitely include a link so people can start trying to get those if they're wanting to optimize this and make big profits. So what we're doing with these two gathering professions is we're farming materials so people can level their professions, whatever profession it may be. Now, you may say, well, can't they just buy that stuff off the auction house? Well, yes they can, but sometimes, almost a lot of the time, a lot of those materials aren't available on the market, so they have to go farm them, and unfortunately a lot of people are lazy. So what you do, in the basic terms possible, is you take your money that you have, you take your materials that you have, and you post on the market, trade chat, basically wants to sell 1 through 600 points for any profession. Now, depending on the profession that they're wanting to level, your price is going to vary. Easier professions to level, such as alchemy, things of that sort, the ones that are easier to level, you'll be averaging around 15k to level it. Your tougher professions, such as jewel crafting, and those of that sort, jewel crafting, engineering, those are more of your tougher ones. Those will average right around 20k, sometimes around 25k. Your average consensus of all professions will average out right around 20k per customer, from 1 to 600 for one profession, of whatever their choice may be. Of course, if it's cloth, you have to go farm the cloth in a different location. You really don't need a farmer for the cloth. The enchanting one, you need an enchanter for that. Unfortunately, I don't have an enchanter, so that's the only profession I can't do. I do have a jewel crafter, so I can prospect. Now, you may be wondering, well, once I get the customer, how do I know what materials I need to give this guy so he'll have exactly the amount that he needs? Well, that's where the optimization comes in, and that's where we have to, of course, work on it to make it better than what it is. I'll be pulling up a website here in a minute that will show the exact number of materials needed to level to max of any profession. And basically the best way I've figured out how to do this is to spend a day, 5 hours. 5 hours is good if you're willing to dedicate that amount of time. Whatever time you're willing to dedicate, spend the first day on finding customers. And what you want to do is basically, tell people in trade chat wants to sell 1 through 600 to max, 1 to 600 any profession max, and they'll whisper you, tell them that you can fulfill their order of whatever profession that they're wanting by tomorrow. And so you get your customers of one day, then the next day you go and fill those orders. Now, if you're wanting to optimize it, of course you're going to have a little bit more time dedication. What I I would do is spend a little bit of time searching for customers, get a few customers, and then go fill those orders in the same day. After doing some consensus of the market, I've averaged about 5 or so people whispering me a day, curious about it, and just on average, if you got 5 customers a day and did the consensus of that, you would be sitting at an easy amount of 100K a day. Very simple, very easy. The only difficult parts that come into play is doing the farming. Now, of course, knowing where to farm your materials is very important, and I'll be going over that on how to get your materials and how to do all of that in the most simplest form. I'm going to hop over to my internet browser, and we'll be going over what materials will be needed and how to capitalize on those, so you can make sure that you're hitting this mark. Now, before we do that, I want to go over one more thing. This does vary greatly upon your server. If you're on a very low pop server, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to be able to make very much money, if at all any, from doing this. If you're on a high population server, congratulations, you're going to bank off of this, because people want to level their professions, and the more people you have, the better that this chance of getting the money is. I'm on a medium population server, so this is not a very large pop server, Black Dragonflight. If you're on something such as Illidan or something, you should make a lot of money off of this. There's probably people already doing this. You just never understood the amount of money that can be made off of doing this if you do it properly. But now I'm just gonna help y'all and show y'all what can be done if you're actually willing to dedicate the time and the money to do it. Let me hop over to my internet browser, and I will show you the resources that are needed to make it happen. Alright, here we are on a simple website that most of you will recognize. Some of you will, some of you may not. This is WoW Professions. WoW Professions is basically your go-to guide for professions in general. If you're wanting to level professions, or you're just looking for farming spots. What we're wanting to see is, leveling from 1 to 600 in no time. That's exactly what we want. We want to be able to get this to max as fast as possible for whatever person we're supplying the materials for. You do need a lot of bag space for that. If you have an extra guild bank, this is very efficient in making this happen. We're not really going to be paying attention to fishing, cooking, first aid, or archaeology. Those are somewhat irrelevant. Your gathering professions, that's kind of more irrelevant to the person too. Those will be, if people are wanting to do those, you will charge more. Those will be your 25K ones, just because they have to do it completely through smelting. Herbalism, they're just on their own. But these, you can make happen. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do enchanting, so I have a market of these, which I can still make money from. So let's just use alchemy as an example. So I can click here on alchemy, and this will pull up a basic leveling guide for alchemy and what the approximate materials required for the 1 through 600 is. So essentially, what I can do is I can find a customer. He will then, let me know what he wants. I want 1 to 600 alchemy. Okay, this is what that person needs at that point, and this is what I have to go farm. I need to go farm exactly this amount of every material that is in the game. This will involve you going to each and every zone, and this will take you on average, maybe, if you're doing it quick, it'll take you on average maybe 2-3 hours. If you're moving quick, and you know where your materials are, and you know how to move between the zones very quickly, you can get this done pretty quick. And it'll show you what you're investing those points in. Once you give the person materials, it's always best to link them to this so they can see how they're supposed to use it, because a lot of people, they'll get this and they'll just be like, what do I do? This is a lot of materials, I don't know what to do. Yeah, that kind of situation, which happens all the time. But either way, this is the best way to go about it. You can always, whatever material that they need, this is the best way to go about it. But as you can see, farming all of these materials, you can see why it can add up to a 20k profit for just one person. And of course, why people don't want to go do it, because it's a lot of materials that people aren't interested in farming for. Having a druid does make it much more efficient to do any of the herbing ones. The mining ones are really irrelevant. I think there's an alliance tune that can get reduced mining times or something, but whatever. That's kind of irrelevant. Either way, this is what we're looking at the moment. As an example, I can easily make 15k, 20k off of this, just depending on the customer. You want to start on the more difficult professions, you can typically start your prices at 25k, and then some of these, sometimes some people will mark them down a little bit just because these are kind of simpler and they kind of know that. Some people don't, so you can always get away with it. Always try to push the market though for whatever you're selling. If they're wanting 15k, ask for 17k, and so on and so forth. But from the people I've consensus with and talked to, I've averaged about 20k per person for the whole entire 1 through 600, and that's just giving them everything. Now, you may be wondering, well, where do I get all these materials? I don't know where all of this comes from. I mean, well, farming guides. Simple enough. What are you looking for? And you will find it. I don't know where to get fellweed. Where do I get fellweed? What is fellweed? Well, this is where you get fellweed, and this is the route that you need to follow in to get fellweed, whatever it may be. And then it'll give you the simplest route to find it and the best way to get a hold of it. This is how large gold companies make their money, by farming these materials and these routes that are given, and they just farm with bots. But of course, we're not going to do that because that's against our terms of service, and that's no fun, breaking terms of service. What we want to know is, of course, how to profit another way instead of having to buy gold. And this is our best way to do it, at least of what I found recently. If you're willing to dedicate the time, you can really make a lot of money from this. Upwards of 700k a week. But that's a basic guide of it. It's very simple for what needs to be done. All you do is find the customer, you find out what profession they want. Once you find the profession they want, you find the materials that are needed to make that profession go from 1 to 600. You go farm those materials, you contact that person, you meet up with that person, you trade them all the materials, you get your gold, and you leave. Wonderful job. You just made 20k off the bat. Pretty simple for the most part. It may take you on average 3 hours for whatever profession it is. The reason I do recommend getting a bulk of customers and then working on it the next day is because if you have multiple people that want alchemy, or multiple people that want a profession that is for mining or whatever it may be, well, simple enough, you can farm that while you're in the same spot. You don't have to go back and visit the spot and follow the same routes all over again. While you're in the spot, you can just get double of what you need, saving you time and resources, and eventually saving you money and getting you more money. But that's a simple guide on how to make it happen. Guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever it may be, and be sure to share this video with your friends and your guild mates, and so you can help other people make money also. But it also helps the channel out a lot, and I'd really like to make this channel a lot larger than it is. And I know it's fairly new, and it's having a pretty good start, especially with my Mode of Harmony farming spot. But let's make it even better from here on out. Either way, thank you guys. You've been really supportive, and your motivation has actually helped me a lot in making more videos and figuring these things out to make this money that people want to see. But either way, thank you, and y'all do enjoy the rest of your day.